Uncle Jay is a visionary writer. So this is more great facts about Uncle Jay, one of the legendary indigenous in this world, one of the top tiers in the military, the U.S. military. Now, people belittle things because they have the right to like literally stand behind the computer. And literally, he used to always do this dumbass shit called "No Child Left Behind." He's like, "Oh, Ernst, you claim you want to be in the regular class so badly. You claim you want more homework. Well, I'll show you this episode of King of the Hill. Well, Bobby takes this class where they have less homework, and you were like Bobby in that episode. You're like, hey, I notice I get less homework if I go in this class, and you want to stay in that class." But then my dad will flip the script like, "Dad, who would want easier?" My uncle tries to use that example, but when you get older, that's stupid as shit. Because it's less of a rate, less of our endurance, and literally how you treat situations better. There are times to belittle, and there are times not to belittle. We live in a generation where they would dare belittle Uncle Jay. You have to recognize him for the great he is. So there's, I think, two versions of Uncle Sonny in the manga. I think there's the gambler, the fat Sonny, and then there's actually the one where he fuses with Jiraiya called Jiren Rule. And why would he be called Jiren Rule? Like, so here's the first thing you have to know about this character named Jiren Rule. So Jiren Rule literally wears a mask. It's just like Jiraiya. He looks like Jiraiya wearing Sage mode, but a little bit more agriculture. Instead of toads, he has skulls, skull armor on for like shoulder pads. Really into like sports football. My uncle Lily was into everything that had to do with what mainstream had to offer, chess, basketball, everything that had to do with being black because he came from Chicago, but he got obsessed with it. And here is literally the sad story of what you guys will get. Did you know that Uncle Jay actually created the Shadow Clone Jutsu? I mean, the female Shadow Clone Jutsu, the imitation where you imitate a woman. On my channel how I talk a lot about women and strategies, about how literally the older generation had to use the actor image, right? What if I told you that he had to fake, and I repeat fake, make it out with Uncle Tommy in order to fool a gang to gang go and think that he's actually making out with a girl? Thus created the sexy Shadow Clone Jutsu. Uncle Sonny is actually phenomenal when it comes to strategy. Military strategy. They are really good at strategy, especially Tommy, but, don't underestimate Uncle Jay. Don't underestimate Sonny. The reason why you have to take it with a grain of salt, and that's why he's called Jiren Rule. So why did I call him Jiren Rule? Okay, so this is really, really funny because he thinks he's political. This is running gag because he used to be a special ed. I mean, we all roared. And one thing he doesn't take it to heart because he knows how special ed is connected to the music industry, so he doesn't trip. But he takes advantage of that. So what ends up happening is he ends up spitting a whole bunch of political garbage. When you grow up and you're trying to fit into school, especially when you deal with Evolution, we belittle Tyler Perry like, hey, you want to go hang out with the girls in school? No, I'd rather treat a woman good and watch Tyler Perry and then these two white boys out there. What's Tyler Perry? It's like somebody that said Tyler and then said Perry. So it's not the fact that what he's doing is wrong. It's great for like mainstream industry, but you can't use it for anything outside because that's make believe. Ended up calling him Jiren Rule, and because there's a running gag that Ja Rule can't really rap or he's not trying, and everybody else is better than Ja Rule. There was this one funny ass joke when I was in the ARL, the Animation Rap League, where literally freaking I was arguing with Philly, and literally I was all like, Philly, change your batteries or some shit, and he's all like, right after I be stoned, he's like, Riz, all those rims were against Bubs. The person your face was borderline good with Sabo. You lost to him. You're the Ja Rule of the ARL. Every single verse, it sounds like you're singing. I thought that was pretty funny. If you compare me to Ja Rule, so I called Uncle Sonny in the manga Jiren Rule. Because he thinks he's really political, but he's illiterate, but he's also really strong. So in the show, he can, summon buildings, and he can trap you in buildings in the form of a maze, and that's literally Uncle Jay's specialty in real life. The crazy thing about my family, especially, Uncle Jay in general, is the fact that Uncle Tommy, Uncle David, Auntie Lisa, they lasted longer than anybody of the older generation where it came to being ghetto and trying to fit in because they knew there was no such thing. That's why Auntie Lisa has an elephant collection, because it turns out that takes time, and it takes a certain amount of time hanging out with people in order to get that much, swagger, in order to, learn that much about life, in order to get those ancient artifacts. You have to literally go out and do a lot. You have to be a hoe, basically. Like, you have to do dang on top of dang on top of dang to see what other people are interested in order to have a concept like that. That is incredibly hard for the older generation to do, and Auntie Lisa could only pull it off because she was part white. You have to understand that. And you can call it cowardly, like Uncle Tommy used to, start shit with gangs, because once they realize you get pussy, they come after, right? So Uncle Tommy gets the pussy, he would fucking fake being in China and shit, and he would knock one Asian lady and act like he was one of their brethren. But it's crazy because it always ate Uncle Tommy, because he was trained to, dodge bullets. He was actually in the military, and he decided to, be a coward. He actually felt like he was a coward inside, but I'm here to tell you he wasn't a coward in real life, because he was a part of evolution. Because he came out with literally fucking Run DMC, when all the real hip hop first came out. Beastie Boys, Run DMC, Rock This Ray. I even know about the collab with Errol Smith. You can say that Uncle Tommy, Auntie Lisa, Uncle Sonny kept on running away. Well, it's because the Runaways finally had the opportunity to use today of modern technology. They were the only people in the older generation who got to use full use of this technology. Like literally, Uncle Tommy being able to look up crooked videos on YouTube. Nobody in the older generation can even think of doing that. So it does suck, freaking, they can feel morally this and that, but if they didn't give themselves the opportunity for, fucking escaping all those traps, then they wouldn't fucking learn so much about, civilization. Thus, we wouldn't have this, and this movie, and why, literally, they were fucking the key parts of why we changed society. Literally, all the kids are Grandma Mary Ann.